we have a lot of customers and not so many developers, and we can never do everything that people want us to do, especially where they have stuff where they want to do their own sort of custom workflowy stuff. And a lot of our customers do have people who can code to some extent, enough to come up with a script. And so we wanted to be able to expose Baselight functionality so that people can use that to automate stuff. So examples, use our indexer to scan the file system, use all the code we've got to properly handle sequences and frame numbering and all that sort of stuff. Metadata, getting of decode parameters, all the decode parameters are normalized so you can work out what the ISO was on all these shots without you having to write something to parse a ARRI file or something like this. VFX pools, it's an operation which is very automatable, but you can make sure it happens with our color science. And then also modifying timelines, adding CDL numbers from a database, adding LUTs, show LUTs from a database, this sort of stuff. And we support 2 languages, both JavaScript and Python, because essentially the way it works is a client server. So when you run a script, it actually connects back to a service running on the Baselight, runs the code there, and then so we can have different front ends. We chose JavaScript and Python simply because of hiring practices. Most facilities would use Python, so the workflow guys that facilities would have now would use Python. But the people that can hire are web kiddies, who would use JavaScript. And there's absolutely no reason you can't write productivity workflow software in JavaScript too. So we're deploying it in a few different ways, and we're finding a few ways to give examples. So essentially what we have is a service here called Client View. So if I log in as admin, what we have, this is an updated version of the Client View that's already in Baselight. So the Client View in Baselight at the moment is something where it basically is used for people in client sessions, mainly VFX soups or something, to have the metadata of the shot available so they can write down stuff. But we're finding more and more, especially in the big customers, there are 5 execs in the room during the grading session. They all want to add stuff. And so what we've done is we've killed 2 birds with 1 stone. This is a web app and it's written in JavaScript and it's using FLAPI. So absolutely everything that's shown here you could do, or a simplified version if you just wanted to sort of display a thumbnail of a scene or whatever, if you wanted to show something like this. So Client View is cool. It follows around. So you can imagine it runs on an iPad, it runs on any Mac, or basically if you can have Google Chrome or Safari, it will run. And as the colorist sort of runs around the scene, this follows you. You can click it to get more information about the time code and the metadata. And also you can add notes. So a client can sit here and go, well, we'll find something with a more realistic note. And we've added support for this inside Shots View. So we have a new tab here. In addition to metadata, file metadata, we have a shot called client metadata. So basically we have a note here from admin saying the shot has been flagged and it's too bright, and we can add as many notes as you like. And multiple people can add notes. I'll only show it here because I've only got 1 connection. And multiple shots can have notes. So as many as you like, you can add notes to any shot you like. So I can even a shot which is not the current shot, make the byte red or something. And all the shots, we add it to the next shot, and then you can add filters like a tab. I want to add a new tab and we'll call it client notes. So now we've got everything that has client data in there. I saved some previous stuff as well, is in that thing. So it makes it very easy. Any reports that you generate from that scene, like for a VFX report or something, it will generate a PDF and you can send it to them and it'll have everything they wrote. So it basically allows you to use the Baselight scene as a sort of repository of what people thought of stuff during a review session. And essentially all this is written in JavaScript, and you can have the source code. So it's not simple, but it was the best way we could think of to give a good chunk of code which you can copy and paste interesting things out of how to do these things, how to get a thumbnail, how to extract metadata, how to update client notes and stuff like this. We could certainly envisage you using it, for example, to merge client notes from some other tool programmatically into a Baselight scene so they're available. The other thing I'll quickly show you is VFX pools. So we have some media here from a film called Terminal. Basically, it's a bunch of ARRI raw files, and let's say we want to generate some OpenEXR files for that. Now, we've got a script. Here I can run IBC 2019 terminal. And it's basically looped through, found all the media that's in there, submitted it to the render queue, and we can see in the queue here, it's starting to render. But what's also cool is we have a new type of view which has been written, which we call the Baselight view. And this is starting to move some of the administrative tasks which currently have to be done sitting at a Baselight to a web interface. So for example, we have the render queue. So we can here have a live update of the render queue, and the code that does this you can easily see, and you can use it to integrate into your own facilities pipelines. So for example, if you wrote a script to submit some VFX pools, you can have in that script monitor when the queue is done, and then you can send an email to someone or a summary or whatever. And it's very, very straightforward. It also has stuff like basic system information, sort of a job browser, so you can do export and import and stuff like this. It can run diagnostics, license installation, for example. So rather than needing to run command line scripts, someone can do license installation, or they can write their own code to install licenses when they receive them from us, and various other things. So you get the idea. So essentially it's not finished yet, but we can start browsing back in Baselight, see what this looks like. So I can bring up a browser, look inside Flappy VFX pool, and there's a bunch of shots which are EXR files. All the metadata from the ARRI camera has been included by default, that's what I put in the script. But you could specify anything. It's currently filmlight T-log linear, but you can obviously do that. Now, what order of work was it to do that? So let's just have a look at the code. I know a lot of you aren't coders, that's fine, but I'll just basically, to give you an idea, it isn't very big, right? There's some code, command line lines, there's some code to check that there's an existing scene, and if so, delete it. That's just for demo purposes. Code to create a scene here. Code to do a search and scan and find all the media. A loop to insert the media into a scene. Code to release it, and then a few lines to insert it into a render manager, okay? And I wrote this in literally 10 minutes by taking our examples which ship with the API and just pasting them together. Here's how you open a scene. Here's how you scan a directory. Here's how I add a shot to a scene. Here's how I add a completed scene to a queue. So we don't envisage that you have to be some incredible programmer to use this. We think it should be fairly, for the sort of stuff people commonly do, basic scene creation, go to a shot, add a true light cube, go to a shot, set some decode parameters, that sort of stuff. It should be, from the documentation we provide, it should be fairly obvious. And the same thing could be done from JavaScript too. The code would look slightly different, but it would be recognizably the same thing. In terms of, just to preempt questions, in terms of the functionality that is currently exposed or will be exposed in the first beta, we're concentrating mainly, because this is what basically the beta testers asked for, is we're concentrating mainly on like something you could call dailies functionality, i.e. VFX pools, setting decode parameters, inserting show LUTs, setting burn-ins, programmatically controlling burn-ins, so you can specify a burn-in generating editorial meter with and without burn-ins. We don't allow you to go to a shot and automatically add paint strokes or something like this. We don't. The only stuff you can insert right now is sequences, LUTs, CDL grades, some base grades, stuff like this. This will be rolling out later in the year in a beta, and then obviously once we're happy with the stability and everyone and using it, then we'll switch it on for real. It's just basically all you'll notice is when you install Baselight, there'll be a new service when Baselight starts up called Flappy, and as soon as you see that Flappy license, Flappy server, you can write code and connect to it.